I don't know who I'm talking to today, but somebody under the sound of my voice is wrestling with the question, God, why? Why me? Why now? Why this pain? Why this season of suffering? And let me tell you, pain is never wasted. God does not allow pain to punish you. He allows pain to prepare you. Your struggle is not your ending, it is your schooling. What you're going through right now may not feel good, but it's working for your good. The breaking is birthing something. The pressing is producing oil. The crushing is creating purpose. Don't you dare give up, because the same pain that brought you to your knees will be the platform that raises you to your destiny. Pain is the language of transformation. It is the whisper of heaven that cannot be ignored, the classroom no one volunteers to attend, the only classroom that graduates champions. When life is easy, when the bills are paid, when health is strong, when friendships are smooth, we grow comfortable, and comfort has a way of dulling the edge of destiny. But pain shakes us awake. Pain is the alarm clock of purpose, rattles the walls of the soul, and forces you to ask questions you would never have asked if everything had stayed easy. Think about the butterfly. Nobody sees the beauty until after the cocoon. But inside that cocoon is a struggle, a pressing, a tearing. The butterfly must fight its way out, because the very struggle is what strengthens its wings. If you cut the cocoon open to make it easy, the butterfly will never fly. And that's what God is doing with you. The pain you're feeling is not punishment, it's preparation. God lets you wrestle because the wrestling is building strength you will need when you soar. Look at the athlete. Every victory on the field is paid for in sweat, in cramps, in hours of training that nobody claps for. The pain of discipline creates the strength of performance. No one celebrates when the runner is gasping on the track, but everyone celebrates when they cross the finish line. And yet, without the pain of the process, the victory would never happen. Pain speaks to the soul in a language comfort cannot teach. A mother understands this more than anyone. Child is birthed without pain. The labor room is a place of groaning, crying, stretching. But that very pain ushers in the miracle of life. She doesn't remember the pain once she holds the child, because the product outweighs the process. That's how God works. You are laboring through nights of tears, through disappointments, through heartbreaks. But on the other side of that pain, something new is being birthed in you. Think about relationships. Sometimes it's the breakup that teaches you who you really are. You thought you couldn't live without that person. You thought you were too weak to stand alone. But the pain of separation forced you to discover strength you didn't know was hiding inside you. The heartbreak was your teacher, your transformation. It showed you that your value was never in their approval, but in God's design. Pain also speaks in the silence of waiting for the job call that never seems to come. Waiting for the healing that feels delayed, waiting for the door that refuses to open. That waiting is not wasted. The pain of delay is building patience, and patience is building character. Like a seed buried in the soil, the darkness feels lonely, but underground transformation is happening. By the time you sprout, you'll realize that the pain of being hidden was the protection that kept you alive until the season was right. Look at Joseph in the pit. Brothers betrayed him. He was thrown into prison. Forgotten by people he helped. If you judged his story in the middle of the pain, you would say his life was ruined. But the pit was teaching him leadership. The prison was training him in management. The betrayal was making him wise. When he finally sat on the throne of Egypt, he could look back and declare, what they meant for evil, God turned for good. Pain was the language God used to prepare him for power, even in our own bodies. Pain is a warning system. If you touch a hot stove, pain tells you to move your hand. Without pain, you would keep burning until the damage destroyed you. Spiritually, it's the same. Pain tells you when it's time to leave a place, change a pattern, or close a chapter. Pain is God's way of saying, you can't stay here anymore. There's more in you than this. I don't know who I'm talking to, but maybe your pain right now is financial. You're counting coins, stretching bills, trying to make it to the end of the month, and you're wondering, why God? Why can't I have overflow like others? That pain is teaching you stewardship. It's teaching you how to trust God as your provider, not just your employer. when the abundance comes, and it will. You'll appreciate it because the language of lack taught you not to waste what you receive. Maybe your pain is loneliness, nights where the silence is louder than any noise. And you're crying out, God, why am I alone? That loneliness is not punishment, it's preparation. It's teaching you how to walk with God as your companion, how to know His presence in the midnight hour. By the time the right people enter your life, you'll know how to discern who is meant to stay and who is meant to go. Loneliness spoke to you in a way friendship never could. Pain is the refiner's fire, cannot be purified without heat. Diamonds cannot form without pressure. Champions cannot rise without struggle. Every level of greatness has been paid for in pain. The reason God allows it is because He knows what is inside of you. He refuses to let you settle for less than who you are created to be. Pain is the translator that turns destiny from theory into reality. It is the push that makes you grow wings, the weight that builds your muscle, the storm that teaches you to sail. The breaking births the blessing. Nothing valuable ever comes without pressure, without breaking, without a moment where something must be torn apart before it can be put together in glory. We often pray for blessing, but resist the breaking that produces it. Yet, every great thing that God does begins with a breaking. The seed must be broken in the soil before it can grow into a tree. The soil covers it, buries it, and cracks it open. To the seed, it looks like destruction. In reality, it is the beginning of life. Without the breaking, the potential locked inside that seed would never be released. Think about bread on the table. Bread is nourishment, bread is strength, but bread only comes after grain is crushed. The wheat cannot remain standing tall in the field and still become bread. It has to be harvested, ground down, and broken apart. Only then can it be shaped and baked into something that feeds others. In the same way, you are the wheat in God's field. He allows the crushing so that what's inside you can be shared with the world. The breaking is not the end of you, it is the beginning of your usefulness. Take the story of the olive. Oil is precious, oil anoints kings, oil lights lamps, oil heals wounds. But you cannot get oil from an olive until it has been pressed. The pressing, the crushing, the squeezing releases the oil that was hidden inside. You may feel pressed on every side by life right now, pressed by bills, pressed by sickness, pressed by betrayal, pressed by the weight of responsibility. But it is in that pressing that your anointing is being released. Without the breaking, oil would remain trapped. Look at the diamond. We admire the brilliance of a diamond, its sparkle, its unmatched beauty. But a diamond does not emerge shining from the earth. It begins as coal buried in darkness, subjected to unimaginable pressure and heat. The breaking down of its raw state is what transforms it into the gem we treasure. So, too with your life. You may feel like you are in the dark, under unbearable pressure, heat you can't explain, but God is turning coal into diamond. What looks like destruction is actually transformation. Think about relationships again. Sometimes God allows a friendship, a partnership, even a marriage to break. At first it feels like devastation, the end of your story. But often the breaking reveals who truly belongs in your life and who was only meant for a season. Heartbreak you thought would kill you became the very place God birthed a stronger, wiser version of you. You lost what you thought you needed, but gained the clarity and courage to walk into the future, prepared for someone or something greater. The breaking exposed what you could not see when everything was smooth. Even in your finances, breaking happens. There are moments when the job ends, when the investment falls apart, when the income dries up, and you think it's over. But in the breaking of financial security, many discover creativity, innovation, entrepreneurial gifts they never knew they had. The blessing was hidden until the breaking shook them out of dependency. Suddenly the side idea becomes a business, the dream becomes a reality, the talent becomes provision. What you thought was loss was actually the key to discovering hidden gifts. Consider the story of Gideon. He and his 300 men went into battle with jars in their hands. They did not win with weapons of mass destruction. They won with jars that had to be broken. When the jars shattered, the light inside them shone, confusing the enemy and giving victory to Israel. The light was always there. It could not be seen until the vessel was broken. That's your story. You've been carrying light brilliance, potential. God allows your vessel to break so that the world can see the glory that has been locked within. Think about a glow stick. It is useless until it is broken. You can wave it all you want, but until it is snapped, it will never shine. The moment it breaks, the light begins to glow in the dark. Some of you are in a season where you feel snapped, fractured, torn. That breaking is the very thing that is making you shine in places you never thought you would. Breaking also happens in your personal growth. A child outgrows old shoes and they break apart, not because they were bad shoes, because the child has grown too much to stay in them. Some things in your life have to break because you've outgrown them. The job, the friendship, the habit, the mindset, it is breaking because it cannot contain who you are becoming. The blessing is in the expansion. Can't expand without something giving way. Even in faith, breaking is necessary. Jesus took the bread, blessed it, broke it, gave it to the people. It was only after the breaking that it could be multiplied. Your life may feel broken right now. Broken lives are the ones God multiplies. Broken people feed nations. Broken testimonies inspire generations. Broken hearts become wells of compassion for others. Your breaking is the setup for your multiplying. Every tear you shed, every time you felt shattered, every time your plans crumbled, it was not wasted. The breaking is not to destroy you. It is to release what could not come out any other way. The blessing is hidden in the brokenness. The power is inside the pain. The miracle is wrapped in the mess. The breaking is birthing the blessing. Your struggle is training for your strength. The weight you're carrying right now may feel unbearable. Weight is not a sign of weakness. It is the very thing that builds strength. Nobody gets stronger lifting nothing. Muscles are only formed under resistance. The same way, your spirit, your character, your faith only grow through resistance. Every problem you face is a spiritual gym. Every trial is a workout for your soul. Every obstacle is training for your next level. You may be sweating, you may be sore, but that pain is the proof that strength is being built inside of you. Think about an athlete who trains for the Olympics. The struggle of practice, the long mornings of running before the sun rises, the hours in the gym, the diet that denies cravings, all of it is struggle. But none of it is wasted. Every moment of exhaustion builds endurance. Every drop of sweat builds resilience. The medal is not won on the stage, it is won in the struggle. And so it is with your life. The struggle you're in today is preparing you for the platform of tomorrow. Without the struggle, you would not have the strength to carry the blessing when it arrives. Look at the eagle. Before the eaglet learns to fly, the mother stirs the nest. She removes the soft feathers in comfort, leaving sticks and thorns exposed. The baby eaglet struggles, restless and uncomfortable, challenged until finally the mother pushes it out of the nest. The eaglet falls, flapping, frightened, fighting for its life. But in the middle of that struggle, its wings are strengthened. It discovers it was never meant to sit in a nest. It was created to soar. The struggle is not to kill you. It is to awaken what was inside of you all along. Think about a student in school. The test is always harder than the teaching. The lessons seem manageable until exam day arrives. The struggle of remembering, the pressure of time, the tension of silence. It all feels overwhelming. It is the test that proves the learning. Without the test, the knowledge remains theory. The test makes it experience. The same is true for your faith. It is in the test of struggle that what you believe becomes real. You prayed for patience. God didn't give you patience. He gave you situations that made you practice it. You asked for strength. God didn't hand you muscles. He handed you weights to lift. The struggle is the training ground for the strength you requested. Boxer does not win a championship in the ring on fight night. The victory is already decided in the hours of sparring, in the bruises nobody applauds, in the sweat that drips in the lonely gym. By the time the crowd is cheering, the struggle has already done its work. Your struggle is not public yet, but when the lights shine on you, the strength you built in secret will carry you in public. Even nature teaches us this. A tree only grows strong by withstanding storms, the wind that bends it, the rain that soaks it, cold that freezes it. All of that struggle forces the roots to go deeper. Without the storm, the roots stay shallow. Without the storm, the tree cannot endure. The storms in your life are not signs that God has let you. They are signs that He is making your roots deep enough to stand. Every gust of wind, every strike of lightning, every pouring rain, it's all training your roots for strength you didn't know you had. Look at a pearl. A pearl is only formed because of irritation. A grain of sand enters the oyster and causes discomfort. The oyster responds by coating it layer after layer till something beautiful is formed. The struggle of irritation produces the jewel. Your irritation, your frustration, your struggle is forming something precious inside of you. If it had been easy, the pearl would never exist. Even in relationships, struggle creates strength. Couples that endure storms together, friendships that survive betrayal and misunderstanding, families that press through financial strain. Those relationships emerge stronger than before. The struggle is not always a sign of weakness in the relationship. Sometimes it is the forge that solidifies it, making it unshakable. The blessing is not that you never argued. The blessing is that the struggle taught you how to forgive, how to communicate, how to love deeper. Consider Joseph again, sold into slavery, thrown into prison, falsely accused. Every struggle seemed unfair, but each one was training. Slavery trained him to serve. Prison trained him to lead in tight spaces. Betrayal trained him to depend on God. By the time he reached the palace, he had the strength to handle it. If he had skipped the struggle, he would have collapsed under the weight of authority. Struggle was his personal trainer, preparing him for strength he did not yet see. Look at your own body after an injury. When someone breaks a bone after healing, the area where it was broken becomes stronger than it was before. The scar becomes a testimony of strength. In the same way, every place where you thought the struggle broke you is actually where you are becoming stronger than ever. The scar is not your shame. It is your story. It proves you survived, and survival is strength. Every financial challenge, every sleepless night, every unanswered prayer, every time you've had to cry yourself to sleep, it all counts. It is training. You are in God's gym right now, and He is spotting you. He would not let the weight crush you. He will not let the weight crush you, but He will let it push you until you grow. The struggle is not meant to kill you. It is meant to condition you. You are lifting weights of destiny, and soon you will see that the strength you carry came from the very struggles that once made you weep. Pain pushes you closer to God's presence. Nothing brings you to your knees faster than pain. You can celebrate in success. You can relax in comfort. You can coast in seasons of ease, but when pain strikes, suddenly prayer becomes oxygen. Suddenly you call on the name of God like never before. Pain strips away the illusions that you are in control. Pain reminds you that without God you can do nothing. Pain turns casual worshipers into desperate seekers. It pushes you out of routine faith and into raw encounter. Think about sickness. When your body is strong, energy flows freely, many forget to pray. But let a diagnosis come, let a fever refuse to break, let your strength slip through your fingers, and you discover how close God really is. On the hospital bed, when the medicine doesn't seem enough, the whispers of Lord become the most powerful prayers. That pain becomes the bridge that leads you into His healing presence. The God you only knew on Sundays becomes the God who sits with you through the night in your tears. Consider financial struggle. When the paycheck is steady, when the bills are covered, when vacations are planned, prayer often takes the back seat. But when the job ends, when the bank account runs low, when eviction notices knock on the door, suddenly you begin to cry out, Jehovah Jireh, my provider. Pain in your pocket turns into power in your prayer. You learn how to see God's hand in unexpected provision, in doors you didn't know could open, in favor you didn't know existed. Pain in finances pushes you into a deeper faith where God is not just a God of abundance, but a God who can stretch a little and make it last. Look at heartbreak, love lost, betrayal endured, trust broken. That kind of pain cuts deeper than words can explain. And in those nights of loneliness, tears soak your pillow. You begin to sense God's presence in ways you never did before. The silence of the room is filled with His comfort. The Holy Spirit wraps you in peace that passes understanding. Pain in the heart makes you realize that no human being can fill the void that only God can occupy. Heartbreak is not just an ending. It becomes the place where you find the lover of your soul who never leaves and never betrays. Even in grief, pain draws you near. When you lose someone you love, when the funeral ends but the ache lingers, when everyone else moves on, but your world feels frozen, that's when God's presence becomes more real than ever. In the midnight of grief, He becomes your comforter. He whispers peace when nothing else makes sense. He doesn't always answer. Why? But He surrounds you with the assurance of I am here. The valley of the shadow of death becomes the place where you discover that His rod and His staff truly comfort you. Think about a storm in nature. When lightning cracks and thunder shakes the earth, children instinctively run to their parents. They don't understand the science of it. They just know where safety is. Pain works the same way. When storms of life rage, when winds of trouble blow, soul runs instinctively to God. You don't need to understand everything about theology. You just know His arms are safety. Pain trains you to run to Him first instead of last. Look at the prodigal son. He had money, he had friends, he had comfort, and he had no thought of his father. But when the famine hit, when the pain of hunger gnawed at his stomach, when the shame of feeding pigs weighed on him, suddenly his memory of home returned. The pain pushed him back to his father's presence. And when he came back, he discovered the father had been waiting all along with open arms. Pain has a way of breaking pride and bringing you back to the presence of the one who never stopped loving you. Even in small daily struggles, pain can turn you into a seeker. Stuck in traffic, frustrated at delays, overwhelmed by deadlines, you sigh and then whisper, Lord, give me patience. That tiny pain becomes a reminder of His presence in the ordinary. Sometimes it's not the great tragedies, but the little irritations that push you to invite God into your everyday life. Pain has a way of turning ordinary moments into opportunities for divine encounter. Consider Paul and his thorn. He prayed 3 times for it to be removed. But God said, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. That thorn was painful, but it was also purposeful. Kept Paul leaning into God's presence, kept him dependent on grace, kept him humble in power. Without that pain, he may have drifted. With it, he lived in the constant awareness of God's strength being made perfect in his weakness. Pain is not just a signal of suffering, it is an invitation to intimacy. The same fire that burns also purifies. The same storm that terrifies also teaches you to trust. The same valley that breaks you also becomes the place you hear His voice most clearly. Pain may push you to tears, but it also pushes you to the throne. Pain may bend you low, but it bends you in the right direction, toward the presence of the living God. You've been asking, why does God allow pain? And by now you see it. Pain was never designed to bury you. It was designed to build you. Pain is not your prison. It is your passport. It is the thing that has been pushing you, stretching you, breaking you, also shaping you into the person you were destined to become. You cannot get to the palace without the pit. You cannot experience resurrection without the cross. You cannot see the sunrise without first enduring the midnight. Every tear that rolled down your face was watering the soil of your destiny. Every setback was a setup. Every heartbreak was a hidden doorway. Every storm was carrying you to a shore you couldn't have reached on your own. What you call pain, heaven calls process. What you call breaking, God calls birthing. What you call struggle, God calls strength training. What you call loneliness, God calls intimacy with Him. Don't you see it? You are not being destroyed. You are being developed. You are not being crushed. You are being cultivated. You are not being abandoned. You are being advanced. Some of the greatest blessings in your life came wrapped in the package of pain. Think about it. The very rejection you thought was going to kill you ended up redirecting you into the opportunity of a lifetime. Very sickness that made you cry out to God became the season where you discovered His healing power. The very people who walked out on you were actually making space for the people who were assigned to walk in. What felt like the worst thing that ever happened to you is this: the very thing God is going to use to reveal the best in you. Pain is the fire that reveals gold. Pain is the storm that makes sailors. Pain is the pressure that produces diamonds. Pain is the classroom of champions. You cannot pray for strength and then despise the struggle. You cannot ask for faith and then resist the fire. You cannot long for destiny and then hate the discipline. If you are going through pain right now, lift your head up and declare, This is not the end of me. This is the making of me. This is not the grave. This is the ground where my greatness grows. There is a version of you on the other side of this trial that you have not even met yet. There is a stronger you, a wiser you, a more compassionate you, a more anointed you waiting on the other side of this pain. And when you come through, people won't even recognize you. They will ask, how did you survive that storm? How did you endure that breaking? How did you smile after that loss? And your answer will not be about your own strength. Your answer will be, it was the presence of God that carried me. It was His grace that sustained me. It was His love that held me when everything else fell apart. Don't curse your pain. Bless it. Don't run from your pain. Learn from it. Don't waste your pain. Use it. Let your scars speak. Let your tears testify. Let your wounds become weapons. Somebody needs to see that you made it. Somebody needs to hear that you survived. Somebody needs to know that if God brought you through the fire, He can bring them through too. You may be in the middle of the midnight, but hold on, joy is coming in the morning. You may be in the valley of shadows. Keep walking. The shepherd is with you. You may feel pressed on every side, but you are not crushed. You may feel struck down, but you are not destroyed. What you are carrying is greater than what is confronting you. What is ahead of you is greater than what is behind you. What God placed inside of you is stronger than anything the enemy has thrown against you. So wipe your tears, square your shoulders, lift your head, and step forward. Because the pain you are in today is the power you will stand in tomorrow. The breaking you feel now is the blessing you will testify about later. And the God who allowed the storm will be the same God who speaks peace, be still, and brings you through it with victory. The struggle didn't come to destroy you. It came to reveal you. The pain is not your enemy. Pain is your pathway. And when it's all said and done, you will look back and declare with boldness, I am stronger because I struggled. I am wiser because I wept. I am closer to God because I cried. And I am blessed because I was broken.